This is the iceberg made by u/Rotary on the Initial D subreddit. I will link the original post in the description. I'll start from the top and work my way down. The Toyota AE86 is the car that Takumi, the main character of Initial D, drives in the show. It's not very fast, but it has great handling, making it a good car for downhill racing. It is incredibly expensive these days because of its fame from Initial D. Everyone knows that the Initial D soundtrack fucking slaps, and the most popular track in the show is running in the 90s. A tug, or toge, is a Japanese word meaning mountain pass. Street racing was extremely popular in Japan in the 90s, and tugs made a great place for racing due to the twisty roads that were mostly empty at night. Takumi's father Bunta owns a tofu store, and he taught Takumi to race by getting him to deliver tofu in the 86 across the Mount Kina tug. Keisuke and Mako are important side characters in the show, and in the post-credit scene of the final episode, we see that they both start racing professionally. MF Ghost is a manga which is a sequel to Initial D, based in the modern day where Ryosuke has a racing team where he trains the new main character that drives a Toyota GT86. There are many other TV shows, video games, and anime that have Initial D references. Some of them are very subtle, but others are very obvious. In some shots you can see misspellings such as this one that says Torino instead of Trueno. The producers of Initial D didn't always have a license from Toyota to show their cars, so in some episodes this was done to avoid copyright issues. Keiichi Tsuchiya, also known as the Drift King, is a Japanese racing legend, and was the inspiration for Initial D, and was also the technical director for Initial D. He also learnt to drift on a mountain pass in an 86, and would drift in his races to entertain his fans. In the show, he has a cameo where he calls Bunta and it is revealed that they are old friends. The second part of the show revolves around Project D, a racing team led by Ryosuke Takahashi. In the final episode, it is revealed that the D in Project D stands for Dream, since it was Ryosuke's dream to train other street racers and introduce them to the world of professional racing. Mount Akina is based off of Mount Haruna in Japan. Shinji is the last racer Takumi faces in the show. He is actually very similar to Takumi. They both drive 86s, they both are very good at it, they both had no interest in street racing when they started it, and they both started driving to help their single parents. There is a theory that Bunta and Shinji's mother are the parents of Takumi and Shinji. We know nothing about Takumi's mother, but we know that Shinji's father was a rally driver who drove an 86. This 86 then became Shinji's 86. What if Bunta was that rally driver? He supposedly died, but what if he didn't die and instead took his oldest son, Takumi, and left his 86 with his wife, who was pregnant with Shinji, bought a new 86 and opened a tofu shop? Maybe that's why he bought the Impreza? Because he likes rally cars? In the show, Takumi wears a pair of New Balance 574s, and there is a theory that the whole show is just an ad for these shoes. And they have gotten a bit of attention, but I think this is just simple product placement. It happens all the time in media. There is a theory that Bunta is hiding drugs in some of his tofu that Takumi delivers. I mean, Takumi spends every morning before sunrise doing a delivery as fast as possible to hotels. It's plausible that it is in fact not tofu that he's delivering, but drugs. There have been cases of Japanese gangs dealing drugs out of hotels after all. There are 2 appearances of the DeLorean DMC-12 in the show. Ryosuke is one of the most important characters in the show. He is the main antagonist in the first season. He isn't featured much in Season 2, but in Season 3 he asks Takumi to join Project D, and Season 4, 5, and 6 all revolve around Project D. And in some episodes the Takahashi brothers get more screen time than Takumi. There is also a side plot in Season 5 that is definitely the darkest plot in the show, where it is revealed that Ryosuke was involved with the suicide of a girl he liked that was engaged to another racer who was known as the Grim Reaper. In one of the post-credit scenes in the final episode, we see this GT86. The episode was made in 2014, however it was set only a year after the first episode in the 90s. This car was built by Toyota in 2012 as a modern successor to the 86, and is the car driven by the main character of MF Ghost. There was once leaks about an Initial D video game called Initial D X, but it turned out to be fake. Itsuki is Takumi's optimistic best friend, and he is kind of an idiot. Ryosuke often doubts that Takumi will win, but he gets proven wrong every time. However, Itsuki never doubted Takumi's chances of victory and was always correct. When Shinji first saw Takumi's 8-6, he saw wings, which is what made him want to race Takumi in the first place. And in the final battle, he actually lets Takumi in front because he wants to see the wings again. There is a theory that the reason Shinji saw the wings is that he was hallucinating because he was on LSD. And that's the end of the video. If I got anything wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments, and thanks for watching. Takumi's father Bunta owns a tofu store, and he thought Takumi to... Keisuke and Mako are two important side characters in the show, and in the post-credits scene of the final episode we see Bear. However, Itsuki never doubted Takumi's chances of... Itsuki never doubted Takumi's chances of victory and was always correct. Ah shit, I spelled that wrong, fuck. Hold on.